What's going on, Dandy Crew? It's Danny Drew here, and we are back for another day of Catan. You guys have been saying, Drew, we want to see you on the leaderboard. We want to see you go for number one. Okay, fine. I've got a little time left, but this is my main account. It was number one at the earlier parts of the season, and I was like, you know what? We'll play some games. We'll have fun with it. It is currently 1880, so I think it's like top 25. If we win this game, we go into top 20, and then I think we're about 4 or 5 games away from number one. Not too shabby, not too bad. So we're going to go through this game. It is pre-recorded, so we will kind of talk about the moves, talk about decisions. This one is crazy. This one is crazy. I want you to zone in, get ready, because we're going to have a good time with this one. All right. We are in the third position. There are a couple cuts to make the beginning of the game move a little bit faster. We do see the 9-5-10 go down here for first. It's a pretty logical pick, the 8-3-4. So I'm going to quickly pause here. Just to kind of recap these spots, obviously the 9-5-10 is fantastic in terms of or wheat cheap. 8-3-4, it's a very interesting pick. It is the only good available wheat. You notice there's only 2 good wheat spots, the 9 and the 6-9-3 with that 3 there. So I have a decision to make. Do I take the remaining wheat or do I go without it? I opt for a little bit of a different strategy here, and I'll just kind of keep playing. I'm actually going to go with the 8-5-10 at the top. It's an interesting challenge. It's an interesting pick. I could take 6-9-3, and there's actually a lot of playability with that. You have the break port. You do have 3 unique resources. But what I like about the 8-5-10 here is that, you know, I get the one to break, and I get a sheep port play. And I think the challenge here is I'm going to struggle with wheat anyways. So be able to kind of have a potential really good port in my back pocket. And one thing I noticed too is there's a possibility that maybe I would have gotten the 6-5-12, starting with the wheat and build to the 9-12. Now I have a decision to make. I think it's pretty straightforward. 6-3-4. Again, we're playing off that sheep port. We have this side-by-side effect where we can kind of build around the top of the board, go for longest road. 9, 10, 11 goes down. By red, this is pretty sensible. Now the question is, what does orange do? Again, we're moving quickly here. They go with the 8-3. Real quickly here, I wasn't a big fan of this pick for orange. I kind of felt like potentially the 8-10 might have been a little better. If they're already going to just go into development cards, why not get the ore, kind of build that early city, and then work that angle there? But 8-3, more sheep, a little bit of ore. I'm not particularly crazy about it, but if they can get that 9-5-10 city down, it does play nicely. It does also give you another sheep spot, so if your 5 or 8's blocked, that sheep income's always moving. So interesting decision. We've got a board, we got a game. This does hurt me actually a little bit because ideally I would like to be able to have the 8-3 to work, but it is what it is, right? Like board got kind of funkied up. So what are you going to do? But we don't get robbed on the first 7, which is quite nice. Now at this point, it's really about the port play for us. We have to get moving with the port because when you're playing without wheat, it's generally very difficult, right? Like wheat's used in everything. So the way I counterbalance that is by getting a decent port so I can start to use my resources a little bit more efficiently. Break for wheat, not really a great trade. Probably unlikely that's going to go down, but we try. But yes, sheep port's great, followed by the 3-1, drop an early city if I can. I think that's kind of my general game plan. And then from there, I'm going to kind of figure out how do I massage this position? How do I make it work? We do see the 5, so it's fantastic. Little work message there, no worries. As far as game plans here, it's pretty simple for orange. For orange, you build an early city, you buy development cards, you go for army. Red is kind of an interesting hybrid here, right? Like they do have all 5 resources. They can go for road, they can drop some cities if they can get the ore port and that 8-3 city down. And then black's kind of in a lost spot here. They do have the 6s. They do have the 9-12. I'm kind of curious to why he didn't go 9-12 first, because you have perfect ratios of wood and brick. Why wouldn't you do that? But okay, this man has made a decision. That's fine. Now, as far as I know, like I said, we don't have wheat, so maybe there might be a trade, but it's going to be really tough. It's going to be rare. So there is a possibility if we can roll a 7 or if we... That's really it. Either we 4-for-1 or we roll a 7 and pluck a wheat somewhere. One thing I tried with this game, and by the way, you'll notice with the iPad, they actually fixed the chat, which is really cool. The chat used to be tiny. If you've been tracking, then you know there's only one wheat on this board, right? Because orange just bought a development card. And to be fair, I can understand black is going to be quiet here. They don't want to speak up. But again, I've been tracking. They started with the 6-5-12. They didn't buy a dev. So I know that they have a wheat. So I'm going to go fishing for it. It's a 1 in 6. So if I can get it, then I get the road settle. Boom. Kind of a lucky steal, but you know what? Is what it is. Yeah, I had to adjust my screen there. All right, but we got the wheat. So that was like the perfect situation, right? Just luck. Something I tried with this game, by the way, is I wanted just to be fun and social. And I really tried to do that. Like, you know, I was cracking jokes. And the 12. That's a huge roll for black. Hey, he got his stuff back. Okay, so perfect. Sheepport's live. I'm going to see if I can get some trades. I always want to trade if I can. But yeah, you'll notice like this was actually a pretty fun game in terms of the banter and the communication. Everyone was talking. Everyone was, you know, doing their thing. Didn't really get toxic or anything. There were some comments, which you'll probably see shortly. But, you know what? It was fun. I had fun with it. Cool. So sheep's rolling. We're doing well. We have a 9 in our back pocket. So something I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to use my knights to try to get deals, right? Non-steal for non-steal. This works a lot more than it should. So I find a lot of these high-level games, people like deals, especially the fact that I'm sitting here with the knight. I'm not going to get robbed. He's not going to get robbed. A lot of people love that deal. So I'm going to flip the knight. Boom. Hit the 3, which is a great hit for me. Now, the 7 does roll here. I typically like to honor the non-steal. I could hit red again, but I don't want to piss him off. And black has done something. So from that standpoint, I'm okay hitting black here again. Okay, so we got the sheep. This is great. This is great, right? Like 3, 8, 4, we can buy another development card. I do want to try to get an early city, right? Because again, we don't have the wheat. We kind of need to up our production with the port play. But this is not a bad situation by any means. All right, another 7 goes down here. I'm probably a pretty good steal. I think the 8 is a fantastic block. You could also hit the 6 if you're concerned about black's momentum. I just say happy to trade sheepies. Sometimes that's a good tactic too. If you have a card that's not desirable, to point it out, be like, I've got all sheep or I've got all wood. You don't need it. But okay, I think I'm probably the right steal. I'm doing quite well considering I am playing without the wheat. And man, we are rolling in the brick. These are big rolls for black here. When he's getting 6s, he's moving around the board. He's doing his thing. Yeah, so 8 definitely hurts, right? Because we can't really port anything else in the meantime. But we do have a handful of sheep. We do have a settlement there, which is pretty damn good. Oof, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah, I really like the fact that I have to use the word ducked. You can't really curse on the colonist website, which is fine. I understand. This is a great deal, right? We have an excess of brick right now. If we can get an ore and buy a development card, protect our 8, pretty critical, pretty important here. And just knowing the fact that red has 8 cards in his hand, he's kind of stuck. So I'm offering, hey, I'll do a non-block with that. It's a pretty good deal for him, especially considering that I have shown a propensity to buy knights. So a non-block for a card that he needs anyways, I think it's a good deal. He's trying to get 2 cards, which I respect the hustle, but I'm not going to do that. I have a 2-for-1 port, so it doesn't really make sense for me to give away the 2 cards there. But I think a card in a non-block is a pretty fair deal. And I typically wouldn't make this play, but the fact that I am blocked on the 8 gives me like a little bit more reason to do it. If I can get a knight, I can pace army, I can protect my hexes. Not a bad deal as well. I don't hate it, or is relatively rare for me. But the problem is I have an actual hand. Perfect. Look at this. Now, there was something interesting that happened this game that I was like very intrigued by, and I'm sure it will come up here shortly. I have played, I don't know how many, maybe thousands of games of Catan, ranked Catan at this point. And I've done every kind of deal. 1 for 3s, 2 for 1s, non-blocks, non-steals. But there was actually something that happened in this game that I've never done in rank that I've done in person and online in terms of the competitive Discord. So I'm excited to kind of share that with you. So I'm trying to wheel and deal here, saying I can do a non-steal. There's not really a bad rob on me here, right? Like if it's the brick, the sheep's probably the worst because we need sheep in our hand to kind of keep things moving. But okay, is what it is. Is what it is. Okay, so we rolled a 5. Yeah, as far as the current state, black is done extremely well, right? Like getting 2 settles down. That's kind of expector setup, right? Because they do have those coordinated rows. They're probably expected to move pretty quickly. Okay, so we're going to go hit the 9 over here, kind of stop the wheat. Of course we rolled a 7, of course. I like the 3 as well. Like I think trying to kill as much wheat as we can is important, but the 6 is also just a big roll. So that makes a lot of sense. I want to slow down black, but I also want to paint black as a target here. Right? If I'm soloing black, it kind of like really puts it out there that he's doing extremely well, which I think he is compared to the other players. Now, the only other deal here I do is I do a 2 for 3. And the reason I would do this is because it gives me the ability to buy another development card so I can potentially get a knight. I'm not as concerned about wood and brick. I have a ton of brick. Perfect. Perfect. We love to see that roll. That's our roll. That's our action roll right there. Another one. Now, what's great about this, too, is it is also coordinated. This is a fun trade. I like this trade. And the reason I like this trade is that potentially it gives me a city play. So it puts me 1 card off from a city. I don't hate it. I'm going to come by wood and brick a lot, but if I can roll an 8, I can roll a 4, I can roll a 3. All of these are the city. Perfect. Perfect. Now, currently, I was going to say Red's hand is absolutely flooded with ore because the 8 did roll multiple times, but he has his own port flexibility. Good for him. Good for him. So interesting little thing here. Look at this. Orange is saying blue, and I say, yes. He's saying, hook me up with port service. This is the first time, I'm not even joking you, this is the first time in ranked I've seen anybody ask for port service. Apparently I said something inappropriate. I don't think I did. But yeah, I love that. I think that's super cool. Okay, so I'm going to pause really quick. With this hand, like at home, what would you do? Let's, bam. All right, 12 cards. It's an interesting one. And I think I could have maybe done this a little bit differently. But let's see how it plays out. But watch the port service. This is fun. So essentially, we're going to make a deal where I'm going to get a free card from Orange for port service, which rarely happens. But I think it was so cool. So I need to communicate with him. So he needs a brick. So first of all, I probably should have considered my options here. I go straight into the dev. I thought about going for the city, but I felt like grabbing some devs. I have a decent amount of sheep at this point, and then there's also a decent amount of ore with the coordinated 8, so there's a lot of potential deals and potential steals. And if I ever get a mono, then I'm absolutely golden when it comes to going for the city play. So I felt like if I can grab army here, I have really good control of the knight. That was my logic, right? I just want to get army. I feel like that's probably one of my better ways to win. And yeah, 2 devs is pretty good here. So at this point, he needs a brick. So what you can do is you can port for the brick, but then you can get maybe an extra card in return. So I'm saying, do you want to give me 3 sheep and then I keep a sheep and give him a brick? That's an option. Right, so I'm happy to take a free sheep. And I'll say I'll do a 2 for 2. He's saying he'll give me a sheep and a wheat for a brick. So what I do is I port for the brick, and then I do the brick for sheep wheat. Because the thing is, I'm going to be porting for... See, exactly, I love that. Because I would have been porting for the wheat anyways. So in that sense... I was really happy about that deal, and I get a year of plenty. That's perfect. Year of Plenty is a great flexible card. I can potentially use that for building the city. I would never use in this situation a Year of Plenty for a settle. I think it's always used for the harder objectives. Red is not happy about this. I said that's my butt plug. Don't be hating. Don't be hating, man. But okay, so we're at 5 points. We've got a really nice utility dev. I would ideally not have to use the knight and jump ahead, but I do have that safety. And then the 8 gets blocked. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Levin's rolled crazy this game. Perfect. All right. I think at this point I'm a little bit more afraid of red. That's a pretty sensible steal. I guess I knew he had the wood, but I just want to limit his possibility there. And if we can get, like, you know, let's say we get a brick roll, we could settle and then start using that doubled 4 and the 3-for-1 flexibility. Also, I'd like to ideally try to go for that city, right? So right now we're a card off from the city. So if the 8 rolls, that puts us there. The 3 rolls, that puts us there, which I think is perfect. Especially with the knight being not on us. We don't have to, like, we can hold the knight, drop the city. I quite like that play. Now, something I should have done, you know, I only did the port service the one time with our boy, but I probably should have tried it more, to be honest with you. So here I should try to go for a sheep. Yeah, so this is a mistake. This is a mistake, I think. I'm porting for the settle, which is fine, But I think if I try to make a deal potentially with orange, like for instance 2 wood for a sheep, that might be a deal that they might take. Or even 3 wood for the sheep and then buy the city, 4 points, knight in hand, tons of production. That was probably the better play. I think porting for the settle here, it's not horrible per se, but I just think there's probably a little bit more I could squeeze out of the position. And this is the thing, right? Look, we don't all play perfect. But I think the longer the game goes on, the more I'm a favorite to win it. So we are technically at 6 points. You know, a couple good rolls, 8 and 4 and a 3. All of a sudden I have the city. I do have the 3-1 now. So any additional wooden brick that I don't need, I can port, which is pretty good. Pretty good. I enjoy it. And the fact that no one's played a knight gives me a little bit more comfort. But I think I definitely could have gone for the city there. It's interesting. It's usually against my own rules to kind of forego the city. That's not typically how I play, but I guess it's just one of those things, you know? Sometimes you get like that intuition to try something different, and I kind of broke my own rules. All right, so we're seeing a lot of 11s. We're seeing that 12 hit, which these are not rolls we typically want to see, but it is what it is. So I'm going to check in with black here. I don't think red getting the center of the board is really good for my game, right? It's going to give him the ability to fight for longest road, which ultimately I think black should have road here. You know, if I'm going to have army, I want red to build the 10 with essentially no win condition, right? He is probably the easiest way to drop quick points with that much ore and potentially wheat with the 3. So I would love to put it in a situation, because I framed it that way, by the way, I'm hoping that black hits red here. It's exactly what happened, right? I kind of said, like, I'm going to help you. I've got cards for you. And I think that kind of swayed black a little bit to hit red, right? Because he's seeing that red's going to make his road game a lot more difficult. So maybe I can crank some deals here. A road for 2 wheat, it's amazing, right? That puts us 8 or 4 away from a city. And again, we have 3 cards. And I'm going to keep cranking it up. I noticed red's taking this deal as well. I don't want red to take the deal. So I'm willing to give my entire hand, which is kind of a little bit silly. You know what I mean? Because, well, to be fair, like, we do have the 3-for-1. So we could just port. But I think getting the 2 in this situation is worth it. Essentially, I get like a 3-for-1, and then I get 1 wheat, 2 cards cheaper, technically. But okay, black's not making any moves here. He just passes on 7. interesting call. He's got some big rolls here with the coordinated 6s and 9s. He can easily go over. We do get hit. That is a tough one, right? That breaks our 3-for-1, which is not ideal. But the wood and the brick are together here, so I like that. Big city drop. So we're putting orange on 5 points. We get the 4, which we like to see. We definitely like to see that. And we do have the knight, which I quite like. I would do this for 3, which I think this is a deal that he would take in a lot of cases. Or we can do the sheep and the ore. Both are decent. So I do this. It's a risky move. But it does give me technically a 3-for-1, a little bit cheaper. Also puts my hand a little less down. So it's risky, but I think pacing-wise, it actually plays really nicely for me, and then I might be able to get a wheat from black here. I do not. That's not what I wanted. Now our hand's flooded with brick. Awesome. So we have the dev here, which I quite like this, right? We're looking for really good trades here. I'm going to see if we can get a deal. 2 brick for 2 wheat. Probably a little bit too good. Maybe if I do like 2 brick and a sheet for 2 wheat, black might consider that. But at this point, I'm just going to go for another dev. It's very much against the way I play, right? Like, I typically don't like to buy this many devs, but I'm kind of just going down this path, hoping I can get some good devs, get some good rolls. Again, I think if I went for that city earlier, I'd just be in a little better shape going into this middle game. It is what it is, you know. No big deal. So I want to encourage black to take road, even though road is a potential way that I can win this game. I want to kind of at least make it seem like we're balancing the board. I don't want people to feel like I'm the only one doing something. So if black does end up taking road, it doesn't take all the heat off of me, but it takes a little bit of heat, and I'm happy about that. All right, we're looking for brick for wheat. I know you got wheat, man. I saw that 12 hit. Yeah, it's so funny that, you know, they decided it's pretty cool colonists fixed the chat, because originally the text was like so tiny and so small, but now it's pretty sizable. It's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, this is a great deal for me, right? If I can trade in this 2 brick for a wood and a wheat, and it's not about the wood here, even though the wood is a little bit more rare than the brick, it's about the wheat, right? That's what we want. That's what we want around here. And I wheel and deal. I make it happen. And more brick. That's what we like to see. And then 7. 7's brutal for us here. We don't want to lose the wheat. We lost the wheat. That's not what we want. And then we immediately roll the block to 8. I'm letting the board know that he's got my wheat here. So I'm going to drop the road. It clears my hand. And I'm kind of trying to set up for a sneaky win here. Potentially road, settle. Longest road. That would be great. They're probably thinking that I have 2 VPs, right? Because I'm not playing a knight. So they are in their right to probably try to have black take road here. Because if I have 2 VPs, then I just win with 2 roads. But I'm going to need some rolls for that, right? With 1 card, yeah. With my production, this 8 block is brutal. Like, if you just erase the 8 from the board, it's not like I have a lot to work with there. Probably getting robbed again. That sucks. Okay, so we go down to 0 cards, rolls the 11. Totally brutal, totally brutal. But we do get the 4. That's pretty good. I quite like that. And again, I think a little of a mistake. We probably needed to build that early city, just kind of get that objective off the table. But we win in devs. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I guess it does look like I'm an 8. Right now, I'm actually not feeling too bad as far as the situation. Like, army doesn't seem like it's anybody's grasp. I should be able to buy a knight at some point. So I'm feeling good about that. And if all else fails, I might build this to like dunk in with the Year of Plenty and just buy more knights. I don't want to. I don't want to have to do it just to hold army. Again, we want to use that yacht for bigger and better things. But we are seeing red here doing extremely well. They have great production. That 8's a killer. Obviously, with our 8 being open, that's pretty nice. One thing we could also consider too, holding the year plenty, and it's kind of a pipe dream because we don't really have the city doubled production, but there is a possibility if we settle, we go to 8. You never know. Maybe we might be able to sneak road because we do have this really cool connect down the middle. So that's a thing. So I'm going to see if I can get some value here. He needs the sheep. This is the thing. When people's hands are busted, be willing to ask for 2 cards. So at this point, we're just going to drop the road. Like, we just got to keep the game plan strong here. Perfect. Perfect. That's what we needed. All right, he is going for, looks like a development card. He doesn't have the city materials. Yeah, and this is kind of scary, right? Because we don't have a knight. So if he pulls a knight, he flips for 2. And he's got good enough production where he can probably find a dev most turns. So I've just got to be careful here. And yeah, losing the sheep, brutal. Rolls another 7, brutal. We're just getting beat up to death here. So we had a fantastic start, clearly. But yeah, it's not fun when you're just getting pummeled in the middle game. So we need some good rolls here. That is a roll. That's an option for us. And I'm kind of concerned here that if I hit black, he might flip a knight and kind of come after me. I could buy a dev there. I take the risk. I don't want to do it. Right? Like potentially yapping for a dev. It's so nasty. I just can't bring myself to it. I just couldn't do it. Yeah, and I'm still looking like I'm an 8, settle for 9. That's clearly a problem, so I totally get it if they want to rob me. Yeah, so interesting hit there. Obviously with red threatening road still, right? Like if they can find a way to drop a couple roads. I think if you're going to hit the 10 though, you probably hit me, right? Because if you stop the road threat with the 10 block, I'm not as much of a threat. Red's not as much of a threat versus when the 10's open, that idea of red dropping a ton of roads is always there. So, and also like for black, the potential for him to pace army is pretty nice here. All right, so we get hit again. Hit again. Yeah, this is brutal. Now that the board's been building up, we've been losing a lot of opportunity on pacing. We don't get hit there. I'm kind of shocked about that, to be honest with you. Kind of shocked. But we really haven't done anything in the last 10, 15 minutes, right? Like we've been dropping roads. I'm just saying if black gets army, I'm forked. It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Just kind of taking account as well, it kind of looks like orange has potentially 2 VPs. We're not sure. Like we know that the robber's been on the 8 and they haven't done much. So that's interesting. Well, I do think one of the devs they just bought. So if they don't play the knight, that might be 2 VPs, but it's definitely 1 for sure. We're putting also red on 1. I think he's kind of tested that one dev. Oh, look at this guy going for road. You know, interesting play. I guess if you don't have anywhere else to go, you might as well drop the roads. And another 11, dude. This 11's just hurting. Can't do anything. We could buy a dev. But I'm going to see if potentially I can sell one of these to buy another development card. You know what's interesting, by the way? I totally forgot about this. Look what, hold on, let me pause. What is going on here? Look at what Black just said. Blue, you really suck. How could you be ranked so high? I'm having fun. I just say I know. Remember that quote. Blue, you really suck. How can you be ranked so high? Imagine being 40% win rate, top 20 in the world, at 1890 elo, and people are saying you suck. Just keep that in mind. So if you're getting toxic people, you're going to get it at every level. I don't care. It's so silly. So silly. But okay, whatever. All right. So kind of getting back into this, we just need rolls, right? Like we need some 3s and 4s. 4's fantastic. And again, we're so close to that city, but we just can't seem to get the 6 sheep that we need. Because once we get 6 sheep, we can port that. If we roll a 3, that's a city. I'm just kind of in this weird position where I've got to be very careful. Also might want to consider popping here as well. Just depends on how this hand plays out, especially with red kind of playing this like they are. Like, red just has good build to 10 potential. Problem is, though, if they are on 6 points, 3 cities is not enough. So for red, they've definitely got to either pull another VP so they can city out for the rest of the game, or maybe they get to 8 points and they try to fight road. That's an option for red. I think orange is in a very interesting position, right? Because if he's pulling VPs, he's in a great position just to build up as well. And then black's kind of in a weird limbo because if red's going to be pressuring road, black's going to have to make a decision like, do I keep dropping roads? Am I going to keep buying these development cards and try to take away army? How do I build a city? So it kind of feels like, yeah, another city goes down by red and then the 8 rolls. Man, we needed that badly. So I make a judgment call here. I go for the settle. I don't like this play either. But the reason I take the settle here, guys, probably in hindsight, I should have bought a dev. I should have tried to protect my 8. I shouldn't really be porting for wood in this situation. But my idea here is if I can get a couple decent rolls, right? Maybe like 6, 5, and a 4 or something. Maybe there's a road steal. Maybe with the Yop. So I'm holding this Yop for life. Maybe buying a dev there was a little bit better. Maybe. It's tough to say. So I take a pretty big gamble. I try to be patient with my Yops. I don't want to just waste it on like a wood brick for a settle if I don't have to. Yeah, he's saying for the win. The problem here is, though, is the army situation. For instance, if black buys a dev here, all of a sudden he's creeping up on 3 knights. I have no cards. And then I'm in a bad situation where I might lose army. So this is like where I think I've probably made a couple missteps. I think not building the city kind of went against my own rules, but not buying a dev there probably cost me as well a little bit, right? Just one more knight, 4 knights would be massive in this position. Massive. And I don't think I ever lose the 4-11. Also, if I pull a mono, that's great. If I pull a road builder, the road sneak becomes like super real. So yeah, I'm kind of hurting a little bit here. I've got to be very careful. But these are the things. You take risks sometimes in Catan. You try to play with the board. You do your best. It doesn't always work out. By the way, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys, coming out, supporting the channel. I've been just so busy trying new things in life, meeting new people, just kind of like doing things post USA Nationals where it's not always just about Catan. Like I've been Cataning so goddamn hard for the last 2.5, 3 years. Sometimes you just want to do other things. So like winning USA Nationals was incredible. Like super proud and just excited to share that with you guys. But also there was a sense of like, I just wanted to do something else for a minute. I just wanted to explore new things. But that being said, World's coming up in April. It's going to be amazing. All right. So we're kind of in a bind here. And I think one of the questions I have to start asking is, do I use this Yop this turn to buy dev if I can, right? Because if I lose army, my game's a lot more difficult. We'll see. We obviously need a roll to make that a reality. And there might be a case here. Well, this is the tough thing. Like, I'm also hoping on some level that just black didn't pull a knight. Like, that could also be part of my calculation. Say, maybe I just have to pray. So this is a hand here. What do you do in this situation? Do you use the Yop? Do you get like a Wheat and Ore and buy dev and pray that holds you army? What do you do? I am still of the mind. I think part of my calculation right now is that I just have to pray black does have a knight. Because my chances of winning improve a lot more if he doesn't. If he does, well, okay, I'm in a tough spot. I hope he doesn't get a good roll. But that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, maybe I can trade for the ore. Maybe. But the problem is I think they're just putting me on 9 points now. So like they're not going to trade this thinking I can buy dev. So, okay. Let's just pray. I think the safer bet is to buy the dev. Oh my God. The 2 is brutal. And he had a knight. and he had a knight. So the gamble didn't pay off there. You know, we're kind of in a tough position. He's got 7 cards, and the 2, that's crazy that the 2 and the 12 have been rolling like nuts this game. I'm just kind of saying my game's done now. They're saying it's blue. I'm saying it's not me. Again, they're putting me on 9, but the thing is either I pull a VP or drop a C this turn, and both are unlikely. So the chances I win this game right now are pretty slim, but the connect is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I can manufacture 4 roads, I currently have 1. The Yop gives me another one. I don't even know if I have rolls for it. Maybe like if the 4 pops here a few times. That's probably what I should have considered is like, do I even have rolls for it? Like what are the rolling scenarios? I was playing this at a cafe. This is why I'm on my iPad. So like I'm sitting there, you know, drinking my latte or whatever. Just trying to whoop ass in Catan. Yeah, I'm saying I literally can't win. Well, given my situation, I literally can't win, right? They might think I can pull for the win, but that's just not true. I'm just saying it's black versus red at this point, which I think it is. I think robbing me here, yeah. Maybe with a couple good rolls, maybe we can really make this work. I think he's got to hit black here, right? Like, yeah. All right, we need some money. That's not the money. Maybe there's a situation too where we can try to fight road here. I'm not sure. All right, so unfortunately we didn't get what we needed there. We just needed a couple rolls. And I think one of the big issues I had this game was, again, I just have to like really hone on this point. Not building that early city kind of like really bit me in the ass, you know? Like I just don't have the cards. You can see I'm underproducing significantly here. Okay, so more or less, I'm kind of in a bind. I can drop 2 roads, but 2 roads is not enough. I'm kind of forced, I feel like, to use my Yop to take some risk here. Something I could do is I could try to trade for like 2 sheep, like 2 brick for 2 sheep and drop the city. I go to 9, but then I go back to 7, and maybe I can fight for road there. So I'm trying to do that play, right? I'm right now trying to get essentially 2 sheep so I can build the city and just kind of move on. But okay, screw it. I'm going to grab 2 wheat here. I'm going to buy a dev. Let's pray that black does not have... Yeah, so they know, okay, I do not have 9 points. Let's just pray black doesn't have a knight. Okay, so whatever. The wheat's always good for us here. The moment of truth. Damn. Okay, so we lose army. We go down to 6. Pretty brutal, honestly, right? Like, that's really not what we want to see in this situation. We don't have a city. We just lost one of our best win conditions. And it's probably self-inflicted, right? Like I was saying, like I made probably some little missteps. I took some calculated risk. It didn't pay off. And that's okay too. But when you get rolls, at least you get options, right? When you get rolls, you get options. Pretty crazy here. I mean, potentially orange might be settling for 8 points. And it's great. They've kind of taken the heat off of me. It's given me a little bit of room to work here. Now, one thing to note too, very interesting. What's black's max road here? Black's max road is currently 10. We can connect for 10 here. So we're going to try to do that. I'm going to see if I can make some deals here. So I need 4 roads. And this is going to require me to trade with the board. I can do this. And what's funny is we go back up to 8 points. Like, let's go. But we'll see. These are always tough situations, trying to coordinate the board for these kind of trades. And I think what I do is I just drop the road to see if I can, like, encourage them a bit. So at this point, I just need cards. And the problem is black on 9 cards is a serious problem. They don't, Okay, I'm going to play the knight. I think I get potentially a wood steal here, right? Because the 6 did roll, so we can grab a wood. It's pretty big for us. It's also important too that like I probably don't want to solo black, because if I take road, then red's still a monster threat. So I do get a wood here. Wood is massive. Now the perfect scenario here is if I can drop a bunch of roads and buy a dev, right? Because then I can win with the double play. But it's so unlikely. So unlikely. All right, so this is what he's offering. You see this trade right here? So I'm going to give up the wheat for this for sure. Probably should get my wheat back. I guess it didn't matter. I mean, technically, I think that's a fair deal, right? Like, he's giving me 3 cards for 1. So in hindsight, I probably should have gotten my wheat back, but I was just happy to get back into the game at this point. So we're going to drop the road and pray. I guess it didn't matter. I guess technically we still got what we needed from that trade, right? Because the 2 sheep is still a wheat. So no big deal. Probably with like in a more competitive game, you can like communicate that a little bit more. So now we're in a situation where if black doesn't have a knight and we can pop here, we can take army for the win, which is pretty wild, you know? Pretty wild. And I'm getting a little concerned because all these devs are flying here that I don't know. Oh, big mono. That mono sucks. Obviously hitting us there sucks. And losing that wheat sucks. So, okay, we didn't get what we needed out of it. But I guess it kind of makes sense. He's settling. He might be on 9 points. Like, absolutely wild. The only rolling situation, we needed a sheep roll. We needed either 2 sheep rolls, a sheep ore, 2 4s. We needed cards. We had a pretty good shot there before the mono to roll into the dev pool. Didn't get it. Now what's kind of crazy is now red's going for... Yeah, you know what? I think if I'm red there, a little bit of a mistake here. Well, the problem is he doesn't have a good port, so that's his first mistake. But if he could have bought a dev there might be a possibility for him to take army. I really think so. Wild. Okay, so we're back to ground zero here. I'm kind of concerned with orange. Because if orange has 3 VPs, it's unlikely. But I don't really see an issue with hitting orange here. Okay, well, he said he had 4 wood. I don't need wood. I need anything but wood here, right? I need ore, I need sheep, I need wheat. So we'll see. Maybe I'm just taking the risk and saying he's not on 9. But that is an interesting consideration. Like, if I think he has 3 VPs, it's absolutely the 10 there. He passes. Oh, my God. I think something happened with Black's internet here, because you should never pass. We have a perfect dev. Perfect dev. Guys, all we need to do here is just pull the knight. That's all we need to do. We have road locked. Well, for most part, right? Like, now red's breathing down our neck, which is a big pain in the ass. Perfect, and he 7's out. Perfect. So now, I don't think red has enough juice to take road. We're going to try to go against army. I think the person that's the biggest threat here is orange, right? If he has 3 VPs and a 10 rolls, for instance, it's kind of lights out. So I'm going to put as much pressure on him. We get the dev. Road builder. Oh my God. We needed a knight. Anything. We could have used absolutely anything. And then he pops. And that, I believe, was a knight. You know, we had a 50% chance to win the game. Okay. Well, we missed it. That's okay. So now We have to build a city and get a settle, or 2 cities. This is looking bad, right? Like orange is pretty much on 9. We are settled out. This is like, this game went from going extremely well to just being an absolute shit show at this point. But it's just one of those things, right? Like you don't give up. You know, you stay in the game. You keep fighting to the bitter end. But it's not like completely hopeless. But the problem is a lot of our roles are kind of dominated. Like the 8 at this point is just as good for red and orange as it is for me because I only get a single card. Then the mono. So he pulled 2 monos. And we're putting him on 9 points now. Yeah, so now orange is hella close to winning. Hella close to winning. But that's good because I felt like he probably could have done a bigger and better mono there. So from that standpoint, I'm actually pretty happy about that situation. So I think the only way we can win this here, obviously at this point, we need a road build. Probably makes the most sense to go to the desert, cut off orange, try to get a city and settle. Like, I think that's our fastest path. In fact, I know that's our fastest path. It's pretty much the only path. So I'm going to first cut him off. Makes it even more difficult for black. Or red, excuse me. Now, at this point, we need to start porting. Porting for rare resources. We do produce ore. We don't have a lot, but we do produce some. If I can build a city here, by the way, this would be amazing. So I'm going to hopefully try to figure this out. If I can't, then I need to port my hand effectively here. So I'm definitely grabbing probably 2 wheat here. Man, I'm just so close. I keep becoming a card off. And I think it makes a lot of sense here just to go for the full port. All the monos are gone. I don't think I'm the Rob currently. So this just gives my hand a little bit more to work with so that way the 7 doesn't murder me. Yep, we're good here. Yeah, and so red's at 8. Orange is on 9. And that's a knight. Okay. Well, I think there's... I don't know what else is missing. I haven't been tracking. I don't like that play. I don't like that play from him. Obviously, I don't have a knight. I don't see why you ever move it there. Like, red would need to drop 2 cities while orange needs the 10. So, orange is claiming he's not on 9. I think it's very likely that he is. I think it's very likely that he is. Interesting. He blocks the 9. I guess that's not too bad, right? Like you're gonna kill that there. I like that. All right, well, we have the city. So there's 9 right there. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Every roll gives us the win, more or less. Or I think it's close, right? 4 definitely does. 5 does. No, okay, no, we need a little bit more. Brother. So, road builder. Oh my God. So this confirms, by the way, that orange is definitely on 9, right? Because if he has the road builder, you would have probably just played it. But okay. This kind of end up being like a blessing in disguise. Another 8. Now, let's look at this hand really quick. You guys are gonna love this. Let's look at this hand. Okay, 8 rolls. Boom. What would you do here, right? First of all, you need to calculate, do I have the win? Well, we need a city. No matter what, we need a city. But if you calculate, unfortunately, after we city, we're short a card. And the game's pretty much over. Like, just an unfortunate situation. Like, what are you going to do? You fight hard, but it is what it is, you know? I tried my best, guys. I'm sorry. But we are a card off. You know, you try your best sometimes. But sometimes you go for some sneaky bullshittery. And I say I need to extend. I didn't think it was going to take this. But black certainly did. Black just traded me the win. Now, I want it to be clear. Do you remember what Black said to me earlier? I will make sure that it's very clear and evident. He said, Blue, you really suck. How can you be ranked high? Black, I don't know, man. I don't know how I do it. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know what it is. But there you go. We fought hard. We probably made a couple mistakes. We took risks that we probably didn't make. Oh, by the way, interesting stat here. The guys that got to 10 and 8 points under-rolled significantly. I rolled the second least. Second, who pretty much has the win in his hand, rolled the second or the least amount of resources. And these guys just absolutely crushing on cards. They just couldn't get together. Like, they weren't even really close. I don't know. Lack of efficiency, lack of resourcefulness. It is what it is. But crazy game. I don't know what to say about this. The way that it panned out, the trade for the win, like, I don't know why. Like, Black must have just like beep booped and gave up or something. I didn't expect after being insulted earlier for him to give that to me. But okay, it is what it is. 1890, washed up. Some of the stats, some of the dice there for you guys, but really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed that. It was a little bit wild. I was like freaking out while playing the game. I had a ton of fun with it, but anyways, guys, there you go. I think we're currently 20 in the world. I'm going to try to make a final run to see if we can get to #1 this season. If I don't hate me. I'm a busy guy. Got a lot of stuff to do, but I really appreciate you guys being here. Have an amazing rest of your night. If I don't see you, have a great rest of your week. Appreciate it, crew, and I'll see you soon. Peace.